Okay, well, hello.
Hey, everybody.
Today we are talking all about the
Pregnancy.
And so we polled for a lot of questions on Instagram stories. I had some questions come in on the blog, and so we just wanted to sit down to answer all of them in a video. Also, not only is this wonderful content, but I told Grant this will be something wonderful to look back on sometime in the future of our lives as well. So the first question that seemed really popular was the pregnancy planned?
It was completely unplanned. We were not trying. We were actually going to try to start, trying for a family this upcoming summer. But lo and behold, we got pregnant, and
we're going to have a baby by summer.
By summer, we'll have a baby.
That's right. So no, it was not planned. Another question was, sorry, Bucky's all up in the way.
He just loves his dad.
Another question was, how did we find out?
So we were laying in bed one night, and Randy was in between fitness photo shoots, and so she leaned over and she was like,
It was like middle of December, and I had 2 photo shoots planned 4 days apart.
Right.
For the upcoming 2020, because I hadn't done one in over 6 months.
Right. So she did her first one, and she's like, Grant, I'm having trouble sucking in, and I just don't feel right. Something's different. And I was like, oh yeah, I bet you're pregnant. And kind of said it real jokingly. And she's like, Grant, what if I am? I said, first of all, you're not pregnant. So second of all, let's go to Walgreens, get a pregnancy test so we can, put this behind us and go on about our business. So about 11:30 at night, we get out of bed, we go to Walgreens, and I go in there. And I
tell him as he's going in, I'm like, if you see anybody you jet out the door,
abort
buy
mission.
a pregnancy test.
So I go in there and I get multiple brands with, the digital, the stripe. I got all kind of stuff. So we come home and we take the test, and Miranda goes upstairs and starts working, and I'm heating up a little bit of food, and so. All of a sudden, I flipped the thing over and it said pregnant. Like digitally, it said pregnant. I was like, okay, all right, here we go. Let's do this. And so I was like, well, that was just one test. And these things really aren't that accurate, right? Who knew that they were like 99.9% accurate? So I did the second one, which was a different brand, but instead of the digital, I did the stripe or not. And we go upstairs. About 30 minutes later, we come down, and I flip that one over, and it says pregnant. And I'm like, looks like we're having a baby. And so she's like, so what'd they say? And I was like, I don't know. You have to come over here and find out. And I flipped them over, and Miranda goes, oh, wow.
Yeah. So I guess I always imagined when we would get pregnant that I would know, I would find out, and I would have some beautiful, creative, wonderful, elaborate way to tell Grant, and I would have it on video. Instead, we administered Walgreens tests late at night, and Grant found out before me.
I was the first one to find out.
Yep. And so when we laid in bed that night, I didn't grasp it to be real. Again, I did not know that those tests are 99.9% accurate.
Right.
Because I know someone in my family who had a lot of false negatives. So I didn't know that a false positive really isn't a thing.
Right.
So as we go to bed, I still wasn't necessarily thinking we were pregnant, but I was like, what if we were? Or what if this did come sooner? And I immediately was worried about Grant because Grant grew up an only child. He's much more of someone who likes to stick to the plan more than me. We were just about to start breaking ground on our home in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So basically, if we were pregnant, that kid would come months before the house was planned, it was finished. There was just so much that wasn't planned. This was the blackout season of my fitness business, December, January, or lights out. And so I rolled over before I went to bed, and I was like, what are you feeling right now? And
I looked at her, and I was just smiling. I was like, I'm pretty excited. And she was like, really coming from the guy who never wanted kids? And I was like, yep.
So I was like, well, at least he's handling it really well. So I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. This isn't a real thing. Maybe it could be. Maybe we're just softening up to the idea. And then Grant did 2 more the next day.
So she took 2 more pregnancy tests.
And they showed pregnant.
And then, so she's like, well, Grant, maybe you should take a pregnancy test.
Yes, I made my husband take a pregnancy test.
So I peed on the stick, and it turns out I was not pregnant. Who would have thought that? So
I thought maybe everyone that we bought was just broken or turned out pregnant.
Yeah, and so it was kind of funny as we even walked into our first sonogram, and Brandon's like, I don't really think I'm pregnant. And so as they're doing the sonogram, you hear the doctor goes, oh, you're pregnant. And you just hear a boom, 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 boom of the heartbeat. And Brandon's like, okay, it looks like we're pregnant.
So yes, I guess before we dive into more questions, we have to talk about why we have never talked about children and why we kept whether or not we would have kids or whether or not we were trying private. So that is very much a private matter that we kept. So if the question is, were we trying or how long were we trying? No, we were not actively trying.
We were never actively trying.
But we did tell our families at Thanksgiving that we would start trying next summer or fall with the upcoming house.
Right.
So that was a big thing to even tell them that, because they kind of knew for a while not to even bring up children around us because, and the reason why we kept it quiet is the second time I ever went to Grant's house, when we were first getting to know each other and not even dating yet, he told me he did not want children.
That's correct.
And at that point in my life, I was 27. I still grew up thinking I wanted like 3 or 4 kids.
Right.
But I also ran my storefront, and I didn't know how life would, like how everything would come together and how I could manage everything. And I feel like the older you get, the more you evaluate things, or I don't know. I feel like when you're younger, you're kind of just braver and jump and figure it out. But the older you get, we'd gotten successful in our businesses. We enjoyed our life together. We kind of had some selfish ways.
Yep.
And we wanted that time together because we met each other later. We got married at 29 and 32. So I did not want to rush. I wanted to build a strong foundation of our marriage and work on that first rather than rushing straight into children.
Right.
And I just wanted us to be able to travel and enjoy each other and all those things. So it's crazy. As much as Grant freaked me out and I left his house that night, called one of my friends. I'm like, I don't think I can move forward with this guy. He doesn't want children. She's like, Randa, what most guys, until a certain age don't really dream of having children. Maybe that's not the case, but she told me of multiple guy friends of theirs that didn't and now have kids and love them. So she was like, don't let that be a make or break deal. And so the more that Grant and I started dating, as we were engaged, as we were married, then I started to think maybe that I didn't want children either. And the thing is, we have family and close friends who struggle with infertility. And that's very hard to come on the internet with a large audience and say, we don't want children.
Right.
Because I know that a lot of people struggle in that department. And so I didn't want someone to feel like we were ungrateful or
shaming or anything.
Yes, like I just didn't want to deal with any of it. I didn't know if we had fertility issues or not.
Right.
We were going to start getting tested on that like this upcoming spring just to know what we were dealing with, because again, we do have family and friends that struggle with infertility. So then when we had this surprise pregnancy that we weren't planning for, at first it took me some time, a lot longer time than Grant, to process it, because I felt kind of guilty. I knew friends and family that had been trying, and so I was scared to tell them that, I hadn't even told them that Grant and I decided we wanted children or that we were trying, because we weren't. And those were some, they were all received really well, but still on my end, when I care about people and I know they're struggling, that's a really hard conversation to approach.
Right.
And so, we just kept it private because, again, we didn't want to be judged or shamed by other people for if we didn't want children.
Right. Another question.
Okay. What was the first thing that made me think I was pregnant? Not being able to suck in at the fitness shoot, feeling something different. How do we tell everyone, like our families and friends?
All right, so for my parents and her parents, we had a secret bunch of different hidden video cameras around the house, and we had them come over at different separate times, and we were like, hey, we've got extended Christmas presents. So we even told my parents on Christmas, I was like, hey, your Christmas present hasn't arrived yet. Even we knew we were pregnant, but we hadn't had the first
We hadn't
sonogram.
gotten into the doctor until January 2nd.
Right.
And
so
I didn't accept it to be
and
real until then.
Right. And so I was like, hey, we got, your Christmas presents finally came over. And so we set them down, and we were like, hey, open your presents at the same time. So my dad kind of had a pretty good idea that something was up. He just didn't know what. And so my dad had a shirt that was like promoted to Grandpa 2020. And my mom was like, got her a mug that said Grandma and had a little baby thing that said, onesie that said, let the spoiling begin. So they were super excited. We basically did the exact same thing. And the copies of the sonograms and everything. And we did the exact same thing for
the next night for my
next
parents.
night for Gerald and Lisa, and everybody was super pumped. And you want to tell us how we've been telling all of our friends?
Yes, so we told our friends in a variety of ways. Most of my closest friends live out of town, so we traveled across the state of Texas to Austin, Dallas, and Houston to tell a lot of our friends. And so we tried to catch as many of them on camera as we could without completely shocking people, but without letting them know what was coming. So Grant would pretend to take photos of us and would say, hey, on 3, say Grant and Randa are pregnant, or
Grant and Randa are having a baby.
Things like that. And so we got some of them on film, which we'll share. Some were FaceTime, some were text messages, some were phone calls, some were hard to track down, some were harder to tell than others because of certain situations. So we are going to share a video, kind of different family and friends that we told. This person says, am I nervous about gaining weight during pregnancy? What do you think the answer is, Grant?
Yes. Definitely nervous about gaining weight.
What woman isn't, you know?
Yeah, I think it's completely natural because, Randa was, a little bit bigger when we, dating, and has done a phenomenal job of getting in shape and getting a six pack and all that good stuff. And, it's natural for people not to want to lose all their gains and all their hard work they put in. But honestly, she stayed consistent, still working out with pregnancy. And honestly, there's a lot of people that are like, we can't tell she's pregnant even though she's 4 months. Just because she's still in great shape. So,
and I know that I can be a positive light to other women who struggle with gaining weight. I know that I've lost the weight before. I know that everyone loves a comeback story. I know that, I've got it in me to work out through the pregnancy and to get myself back. So it's kind of nice to be in a different phase where, I'm hungry a lot more, like especially in the mornings and evenings. Like I eat a lot more throughout the day, but smaller portions. Eating in a caloric surplus. So yes, I'm nervous, but at the same point, not nervous enough to let it affect my confidence, me showing up on social media, or me taking the active, healthy steps to growing a strong, healthy baby.
Right.
Where did we find the vintage carriage in all of our photos?
So when we surprised one of our good friends, Christy Schiller, with, hey, we're pregnant, she's like, oh my gosh, you have to do your pregnancy pictures with my baby carriage. And I'm like,
no, she wanted us to use her bassinet.
Right.
And then when I decided I wanted to do pictures that were inspiration from the royal family,
right,
I asked her if she knew of a carriage, because I didn't want to purchase one yet, not knowing the gender.
Right.
Because if it's a girl, I want a pink one. If it's a boy, I need to be, gray or camel or navy.
Right.
And so anyways, she said that she had gone to London to get the same one as Princess Diana.
Right.
From Harrods. And
yeah.
so she had it in storage and was so gracious to allow us to borrow that
so
for the photos.
Yeah, we can't thank her enough for that because it was amazing.
Absolutely. A favorite part of the pregnancy so far and hardest part of the pregnancy so far. You want to go first? We're in this together.
I don't necessarily have a favorite or negative. I mean, she's not hormonal. She's not sick. She's not rude or mean. I mean, you hear a lot of nightmare situations that unfortunately women have had in the past, but...
And it may happen to me in the future if we ever get pregnant again.
Absolutely, yeah. We're just very, very lucky and fortunate right now that, like I said, she's not having super pregnancy craving. She's not hormonal. She's not sick. So right now, we're pretty good.
And I will say, at least finding out at blackout time of my business, like when I first found out, I'm like, I cannot be sick. I have so much going on.
Yeah.
So it's such a blessing that I haven't been sick. I would say that my favorite part thus far has just been able to continue my strength training and not being sick. And
I know my favorite.
The hardest part, I guess, was honestly processing it, since it was an unplanned pregnancy.
Yeah. My hardest part is keeping it secret because I don't like, not being able to talk about it. But now that it's out, we can talk about how she's pregnant. I have more fun talking with. We've got a lady in our office that's pregnant right now, so me and her talk every day about, well, how are you experiencing this and that, and so it's just fun for me to be able to talk about it now.
Oh, that's sweet. Before we edit the video, I was like, Grant, you totally left off your favorite part about pregnancy.
Her boobies have grown a lot.
It's a little uncomfortable for me. I mean, I've talked about this all on my social media, but someone here loves it.
I'm not complaining.
That's all we had to add.
That's it.
Cravings so far, again, I haven't had any crazy cravings.
Watermelon,
fruit in general, like watermelon, cantaloupe, bananas.
La Botana tacos.
La Botana breakfast tacos, and honestly breakfast sandwiches. So I've craved like fruit or breakfast food, like sandwiches or tacos with lots of salsa.
Mm-hmm. A lot of salsa.
And natural birth, or which natural means like vaginally.
Yeah.
Or C-section.
That's your call.
I'm not going to make a plan because I know ultimately it comes down to, delivery and labor time, I believe. I would prefer a natural run over a C-section just from a recovery standpoint. Mm-hmm. But obviously, as long as the baby's healthy and strong and wonderful, that's all that matters. So however it comes about is however it goes.
And I support whatever she decides.
Will there be a gender reveal?
Absolutely. I'm actually really, really excited about this.
Can't spill too much.
Can we tell them what the main attraction is?
Yeah.
Okay, so how we're going to announce that we're, most people like pop balloons or, hit a softball or a golf ball or whatever. You can get, powder goes everywhere or something, or cut into a cake. So Rihanna wanted to go a little over the top and go a little extra this year.
No, not me.
I know, right? So we're having like a firework and light show.
Yes.
So it'll be like a 2-minute show of like, it'll kind of be doing its thing, and then all of a sudden it'll either be blue or pink.
The grand finale.
The grand finale will be blue or pink, and it's just going to be going haywire.
So the regular light show will be white lights.
Yeah.
So the second time Grant and I ever went on a walk, he asked me, he's like, how would you like to be proposed to? And you know me, I just like threw it all out there. I was like, I need a big, spectacular production. I need like a water show. I need fireworks. I need you on the microphone. Like,
right. She needs everything, all the bells and
I
whistles.
gave him all this anxiety, right? Well, then he proposed to me at the Bellagio Water Show. And then we had a beautiful wedding at Miramont. And we did not do a firework exit like I wanted. It just comes down to budget. Like, a wedding can take up a budget so easily. Mm-hmm. And there was also like a noise violation that we would have had to deal with, where our venue was. And so different things, and we would have had to have more security on staff. So just logistically, there was a lot going on. So anyways, I messaged my friend who's helping me party plan this, and I showed her a picture, and I'm like, hey, do you think that we could do this? And we're going to do it at our home and in our backyard, since we only have a couple more months of living here.
Right.
I want to have those memories and all the pictures and videos of it being here. And so I said, can we do that in the backyard? And she came back and said, yes, but it's a little bit pricey. It was a little bit out of budget. I showed Grant. I said, I'm going to pass on it. And I was like, but we didn't do this at our wedding. And he said,
go for it.
Go for it. And I said, I promise if we have number 2, we'll cut a cake.
Thank you.
We'll do something that's not as expensive. How many calories now in my weight gain? So I am 16 and a half weeks right now. I'm eating 300 calories surplus my maintenance calories. And my weight gain is around 5 pounds.
Yeah.
But I think that my weight gain might not show like a true weight gain, because I'm trying to hold on to as much muscle as I previously had, but I know I am going to lose some muscle during this process as well. So I don't know how much weight I'll actually gain, but I don't think everything that I gain is going to be true fat gain. I think it might be losing some muscle as well. Isn't it not healthy for the baby if I keep working out?
It's actually extremely healthy for the baby if you do continue to work out.
The rule of thumb is if you've previously been strength training, or whatever you've previously been doing from an exercise training standpoint, and as long as you're cleared by your doctor and you're not a high risk, then it's better for you to continue what you were previously doing.
Absolutely.
Now that pregnancy is not the time to pick up weights for the first time.
You don't max out.
Yeah, and it's not the time to hit your
records.
personal records or do your highest intensity, but it's A-okay to continue. And obviously I was lifting full body and fairly heavy for 3.5 years before this pregnancy. What will the baby room theme be in the new house?
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. Yes, I did order a neon sign that says "Oh, baby" for us to have for our gender reveal, and I want to put over the crib. And then whether it's a boy or girl, whenever we name him or her, I want to add that light color underneath it, either in blue or pink.
Right.
So I would say the theme would be very classy, very timeless, very kind of royal. But we don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet, so that will obviously dictate.
Pinks if it's a girl, we're gonna be painted pink, which would be great because the dogs or the kid's gonna share a room with Barbie. So
Barbie's not losing her crib.
Yeah, so there are gonna be 2 cribs in the room, and a changing station and all that good stuff. But yeah, boys' room will be, probably not blues, grays, neutrals, grays, some Aggie stuff in there thrown in, obviously, and then pinks for a girl.
Are we going to set up a nursery in our current home, or just wait until the new house?
Probably just wait until the new house. Honestly, we probably won't be living here when the baby's born. But having said that, if we are, we probably won't go all out for a nursery. We'll just put all the essentials in there. Obviously, crib, baby monitors, changing station.
Stuff that'll be moved to the new home, but we should be in the new home by the time the baby's 2, 3, or 4 months old. Yeah. Somewhere around there. And maybe even sooner if weather works for us. So it kind of just depends upon weather with the building process. But apparently all you really need is a bassinet and a changing station. So, if our baby doesn't have a all done up nursery for the first couple months, again, it's not what I planned, but life will go on.
It's not the end of the world.
That's right. Would we rather have a boy or a girl?
Healthy. I don't care if it's a boy. I don't care if it's a girl. I just want the little baby to be healthy. That's all I care about. We'd have fun either way.
I guess another thing with us not trying, so I wasn't as like dead set on I'm trying to have a baby or I'm trying to have a specific gender. I always kind of talk about, I think Barbie would be a wonderful big sister to a little girl, but I also think she'd be a wonderful big sister to a little boy. I say if we have a little girl, she'll have tea parties and Barbie will get uninvited from the tea parties and then re-invited because no one else is at the house. And
she'll get so excited she'll ruin the tea party. She'll jump on the table and everything will go everywhere. And the little girl will cry. And it'll be fun.
Barbie, as much as we dress her up, she actually is more of a little tomboy.
Yeah.
So she likes like tennis balls and footballs and softballs. And so I'm like, if she has a little brother, then she would probably wear superhero capes and play with balls.
No doubt. All the time.
So we are A-okay. I do have a nephew on my side of the family, and he's 3.5 years old, and his boat is a boy cousin.
Right.
And I think that I'm going to wear pink to the gender reveal. I think that's just kind of what people would expect of me, and I would obviously love a little girl.
And I'll wear blue because,
that's what the men normally want.
That's what the women.
So, yes, we're just going for team healthy.
Yep.
Was it easy for us to get pregnant?
Yep. So, probably sharing TMI. Should we go there or not?
You can.
All right. So, this way. The only time we did not use protection, we'll just say the only time we ever did not use protection, we got pregnant.
Yes. So when I was laying in bed, I'm like, well, maybe I could be. And he's like, no way. And I'm like, remember that one time? And he's like, it doesn't just happen like that. Because I wasn't tracking anything. Like I know friends who want to get pregnant in the next year or two that are already like tracking on their apps and knowing when they're ovulating. And I know like nothing about human pregnancy. I know way more about cattle or dog pregnancies than human pregnancies. So I had gotten off of my birth control last summer because my IUD was up for 5 years that summer. And since we were going to start trying in the next year, and I had been on birth control for like 10 years, and I knew of friends and family struggling with infertility, I didn't want me being on birth control for so long to hinder that. So we decided that I would get off. Remember last summer when I was dealing with all the hormonal acne, that's what it was for, but I wouldn't say because I didn't want people suspecting we were trying or judging me for being on birth control, or there's just so many things with the internet. So we had gotten off. So I guess you could say we weren't at our safest spot, but at the same time we weren't actively trying.
Yeah.
Are there any movements or weight limits I will not be doing? For instance, like handstand holds. Right now, I don't foresee me having to limit anything. I know that there is a rule of thumb for some people in the second and third trimester not to be on your back doing like regular crunches or sit-ups, but I also know every pregnancy is different, and so I'm not going to necessarily think in my mind I have to limit all these different things. Now if my body tells me no, I can't do this, or my belly truly gets in the way, or it feels like it's too much for me, I obviously am not going to continuously push myself, or I'm not going to put my body or my baby in harm by any means. How have the dogs acted differently towards me or the baby bump?
I think Bucky can tell there's something there, something's going on, and Barbie's just happy to be alive. She just wants her pink ball and her din-din. That's all she cares about. Maybe a nap every now and again.
Yeah.
I don't think we can tell a difference with her, but
Bucky lays on me more now than he did.
And he wants to lay on her stomach. So I think he is well aware of something's going on. He just doesn't necessarily know what it is.
I would agree with that. And I'm not worried about Bucky when we bring the baby home.
Barbie.
Well, we are worried about Barbie, so we are going to get her in an obedience school soon.
Yeah, she just gets so excited.
She does. The first 5 or 10 minutes of bringing new people into the house or people just coming over, she gets so overwhelmed, and she's so stout-natured without meaning to be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
very forceful.
Yeah, and she doesn't mean to, but we want her to learn how to be a little more gentle for the baby.
Right.
Have I cut out any types of food? Well, for pregnancy, there's certain ones that I've learned that you have to, and these are not limited to the following. And obviously, every nutrition, thing that you're going to go through in your own pregnancy, maybe talk to with your own doctor. So this is my first pregnancy. I'm not a specialist, but I'm not eating any sushi. I'm not eating any tuna. I'm not eating any uncooked
lunch meat. Like it's got to be all warmed up or cooked.
Right.
Dairy. What's the
specific
dairy
cheeses, like unpasteurized cheeses, blue cheese, different things like that. Just the normal. Are we going to reveal the name before the baby is born?
Probably. Well, I don't know.
I don't want to.
Okay. All right. It'll be a super secret.
It'll be harder for Grant to keep it.
Yeah.
So we already know the names for both a boy and a girl.
Right.
And Grant actually came up with both of them.
By accident.
Not for one of them.
One of them was an accident. The other one, I think we both agreed on, was very beautiful, timeless, classic name. So.
Yes. So yes, we already know what the names will be, but I don't want to share that part with the internet until after the baby is born.
They're can I say that the boy's name will be very unique?
Yes.
And some people are going to love it, and some people are going to be like, "What are they doing?"
How many children do we eventually want to have?
That goes back to the whole, I have no idea. I would say I really would not prefer more than 2. But honestly, it's whatever the Lord blesses us with, we'll be happy with. So
Yeah.
we're not going to put a limitation on it. We'll just play it by ear. And
I
see
would
what
say
happens.
Grant would be happy with 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in my mind I would like 2 or 3. But I guess I'll also see how life is when a baby gets here and how I process with just 1, how life goes on. Again, I'm not going to have any expectation.
Right.
This pregnancy was not in our hands. It was in God's hands, and we feel the same way about the rest of our family.
Right.
Will the new home be finished for baby C?
No, we're trying to get in by Christmas of next year. So it won't be done, but we'll be in a few months right after the baby.
What's our instinct? Do we think it's a boy or a girl?
So if you go by old wives' tales, which don't mean anything whatsoever, 8 out of the 10 old wives' tales we've done have said boy. But to keep in mind, that doesn't mean anything.
I'm honestly torn. Like, I'm 50. Obviously, it's 50-50. I don't know if I think it's a boy or a girl. But more people tell me they think it's a boy than do a girl. But there are still people who think it's a girl.
Right.
So
we don't have we don't have an opinion. We don't know. It just whatever. I'm just giving you the facts.
I just think the fact that I've had no morning sickness, not been sick, a little bit tired, but I also train. So when I train harder, I sleep harder. When I sleep more, then I train harder.
Yep.
So I think that kind of goes back to that. So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay, so the last question is, are we going to breastfeed?
I mean, that's a you question.
You're not going to breastfeed?
I mean, I don't know that I'm able to breastfeed, but if the doctor says I have to, I guess we'll give it a try, as awkward as that be.
I'm not putting any expectations. If I'm able to and I have a wonderful milk supply and it works for me and the baby, yes, I will do it. I think there's so many wonderful benefits to breastfeeding, but I also know of some friends who wanted so desperately to breastfeed and it did not work out for them, or the milk supply didn't come in. And so with that, I'm not going to set myself up with any expectations to feel like a failure.
Right.
Now, the biggest body change and weight change difference I've noticed has been in my chest.
Right.
We're of what, 2 cup sizes now?
At least, minimum, maybe 3.
But I've also heard that does not necessarily mean a direct correlation with milk supply. So I guess that's kind of all the questions for now. Is there anything else about the pregnancy?
All I know is we're excited. We can't wait to meet the little booger, whether it's a boy or a girl. So we'll see what happens.
How long did it take me to process before I got real excited?
2 months.
Yeah, it took me a little while.
Yeah.
Was that hard?
I mean, not for me. For you, obviously.
You were okay with me processing?
I mean, it had its moments.
Yes, we're both very excited, and we totally trust in God's plan for us rather than our own. And maybe there's some reason why it came sooner. You know, we're lucky that Bucky's still around. We never thought that Bucky would be around to meet our children.
That's right.
Or the next house that we lived in. And he's hanging in there to see both.
Yep.
And then my grandparents are both still alive, so our baby will have great-grandparents.
Absolutely.
And they're in wonderful health and in their mid-80s. So that is honestly a wonderful, beautiful thing.
Yep.
So yeah, we are excited. We'll keep everyone posted about the gender reveal coming in the next month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Thanks
that's
for following along.
Thanks for following along. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel below. Bye.
See y'all.